Hello, I'm Jody Wolf, and you're watching Expoz. It is July 2, 2018, 11:57 p.m. Birmingham, Alabama. Topic is, do you think you know the day of the rapture? How about the midway point through the 7-year tribulation? Which one gives us a time? Neither. There's no big hoopla going on when the rapture occurs, because no man knows that day nor the hour when Christ will call his church home. But we do know that during the tribulation, Israel will call out peace and safety, or the Bible reads peace and safety. Today, Israel is prospering more than they ever have, and next year they'll be prospering 10 times more than they are today. Israel, keep in mind, they'll have unwalled villages. They'll have laid down their arms. Well, we have a miracle going on today. We have North Korea laying down their arms. Look, guys, Donald Trump went there on the advice or the direction of the one who leads him, and that is God. If God has plans as well for North Korea and Russia, because Trump is meeting Russia in 2 weeks. Maybe God has a plan for Russia. Look, there will be peace in the land. And then sudden destruction comes. Okay, the peace in the land. Land. That is Syria. That is the United States. That is Canada. That is Russia. That is North Korea. That's peace in the land. It's only those who say, peace, peace. Then the sudden destruction comes, because they have a direct, they have a direct, I'm sorry, it's directed at the Jews. Flee, get the hell out of Dodge, get out fast, take off, go to the mountains, which is going to be Petra. If you're in the house working, get off the house. Don't go in the house, but run. If you're in the field working, don't stop and pick up your tools, leave them there and run. That's peace, peace, sudden destruction comes. There's no such sign for the rapture of the church. Now, when that happens, the peace, peace, sudden destruction comes, that's when the Antichrist, false prophet, desecrates the temple. That's the only time they'll know the end date. The end date's 3.5 years from that point. But what about the 3.5 years leading up to that point? Shouldn't that give them a clue? Well, they didn't know they were in the tribulation. And I'm going to tell you why. Everyone thinks the rapture of the church is the trigger for the 7-year tribulation. I don't believe it is, because if that was so, after that date, then everyone knows they can count 7 years. Here's my opinion. We're going to have a rapture of the church at a time when we least expect it. Like they always say, Yeah, they've been calling for the rapture of the church since Jesus died, and it hadn't happened yet. Well, the rapture of the church is not hinged on unwalled villages. It's not hinged on anything. The rapture of the church will take place. It will occur. The Christians will be taken out. However, with what's going on today in North Korea, they've laid down their arms. They want what we've got. They want to live like South Korea lives. And not only that, we have 2 weeks away from Trump meeting Putin. And he's going to ask Putin to withdraw from Syria. Here's what I believe. I believe we're going to enter a time where there'll be no wars. Then we will have a rapture of the church. But it may come a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. It may come 20 years before the actual 7-year tribulation begins. Keep in mind, God clearly tells us no man knows the day nor the hour. And then there's parts of the book of Daniel that is still not known to us today. And then you go into peace, peace, and sudden destruction comes. That's for the Jews. They have unwalled villages, but they do have a warning. When the false prophet steps into the temple and demand worship, they are told by God to flee, and flee as quick as they can. But 2/3 of them will die. 2/3 will be cut off. They'll be pillaged. They'll be raped. They'll be killed. So the rapture of the church will have to happen long enough so that when 7 years have gone by and there's still no ending of a tribulation, maybe 8 years, 9 years have gone by and you see no midway point where the Antichrist or the false prophet desecrates the temple, that hasn't happened. It's simply an indication that no one knew when the date started for the final 7-year tribulation. No one knows. Even when they're in it, no one knows. But it'll be during that time when these angels will be released out of the river Euphrates, and other angels come by the millions, and they'll come to destroy man. In fact, the angels alone will destroy a third of mankind. We keep hearing that any day they're going to make themselves known. But that doesn't mean that they're going to attack. Look, I believe God is promising North Korea peace. I believe that North Korea will see that through and see a time of peace for them. And the people in that country will prosper and live in a life that they never even dreamed of. They'll have supermarkets with food in it. They'll be able to go shop at all those empty shopping centers. In Russia, they're going to strike a deal with Trump. They'll probably pull their forces out of Syria. In fact, there may be a deal struck with even Syria and Hamas. We know there will be in Hamas because peace is being called. So this whole world may be at peace for a number of years and even ease into the tribulation. And the angels that come out to make war may not come out to 2 years into the tribulation or 2.5 years. But it's not going to be at a time when they think this begins the final 7 years. Everyone thought that the rapture of the church brought on the final 7 years. I don't believe it is. No man knows the day nor the hour. That says a lot for all of us. The rapture is going to be a mystery. And then time will go by when things have actually calmed down and people have forgotten about it. And then they'll still enter into a time of peace. And think about that, really. Think about out of sight, out of mind. Something like 911. You can remember it clearly. I do. I mean, boy, can I remember that. But we've been at peace as far as that goes ever since. And if the rapture of the church occurs and nothing big happens, well, maybe the rapture of the church will occur several years before the tribulation begins. And it'll be so subtle that people won't even know that it did begin. The only way people know that the tribulation began is when the false prophet desecrates the temple, meaning it's been going on for 3.5 years. But now they know, the world knows, there's 3.5 years left till the end. That's the only time, the time of all these events will be known. That's my thought. I mean, I've been at prayer for a long time, many years, same time every night, and I'm getting these, I'm not saying messages, I'm getting these feelings, and I see these things, so I start writing them down. And if they make a sense to me after I read them 2 or 3 times, then I think it's noteworthy. So I do not believe we're near a rapture of the church. I just don't. Doesn't mean that we won't be raptured on the 4th of July, but I just believe that more has to happen. In other words, we have to feel good about where we are. We in our minds have to feel good about why we are at peace. That's in our country as well as in Israel. We have to feel that we're in peace. We're not there. Not with half of this country, half of the left, and all the crooked media. We're not at peace. They're stirring up crap as fast as they can. But one day, even that'll stop because God is still in charge. And when you see Russia start doing better than they've done in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and North Korea doing better than they've done in 80 years, that's still not peace. It's a temporary peace, but it's just a time of reaping. Don't let any of these events tell you that the rapture is going to occur anytime soon. Not that it won't, but carry on today and go to work tomorrow go to work the next day, and just continue to do so. Then one day we will disappear. And then a time period will go by when the world finally put it in the back of their mind. And they're not thinking too much about that anymore. They know in the future things will change. But no one knows how long in the future after that. Rapture will be first. But I believe the tribulation will take many years after that to begin. And I believe it'll begin and no one will have known that it did begin, that it did start. I left you a lot to ponder, didn't I? Jody Wolf Expoz.